Hello class, as I have noticed that many of you were struggling with this assignment, I am going to kind of read through it with you so we have a better understanding. If you would like to request an resubmission, or if I have required a resubmission, please watch this video and really try to understand what's being said. I'm going to go ahead and start with the lecture. So when you're reading any research, the first thing you should always do is read the title. This is going to give you a lot of insight into what the study is about. So it says wild bearding capuchin monkeys strategically place nuts in a stable position during nut cracking. So they're saying it's strategically placing nuts. They're trying to see, is it strategic? Why are they doing this? That tells you a lot about what the study's about to tell you. The next step you should always do is reading the abstract. So when you're reading the abstract, there's always an introduction. There is always a question that they're aiming to observe. There's always the methods in which they observed it. And then there's always a conclusion within the abstract. So the abstract is going to give you a snippet of everything you're about to read in the experiment. So let's go ahead and start. Humans can use hand tools smoothly and effectively in varying circumstances, in other words, skillfully. A few other species of primates crack encased foods using hammer tools and anvils. Are they skilled? Well, that tells you something right there. They're comparing humans to primates, and they're wanting you to know, is this a skill? Are these primates and animals skilled? Positioning food on an anvil so that it doesn't fall off when it is struck is a component of skilled cracking. We discovered that bearded capuchin monkeys deliberately place palm nuts in a relatively stable position on the anvil before striking them. Okay. So what they're saying is, we found that it was very interesting that these monkeys are positioning these nuts in a specific way so that they can hit them on basically without the nuts falling off. Then it tells you the methods. And the first, we are going to ignore this part. This is the part I would ignore until you have to talk about methods. Here's all of the experiment, skip that, okay? Now it says, thus the monkeys reliably placed the more symmetrical side on the nuts against the side of the pit, and the nuts reliably remained stationary when released. They're saying these monkeys did it in a specific way, and it was skillful because the nuts were stable. They didn't move even when they let go of the nuts. Monkeys apparently used this information gained from knocking the nut to achieve this position. How did they get this information? They gained it. They learned this. That's what this sentence is saying. Thus, monkeys placed the nuts skillfully, strategically, managing the fit between the variable nuts and pits in the anvil, and skilled placement depends upon information generated by manual action. They are saying monkeys are learning this. This information was gained based on the actions that they took before. Now this tells you the methods and how they did it. And here you sometimes can find their results, but honestly, you'll get better results in the general discussion section. Now, even if you don't understand the introduction or the methods or the materials, you can skim this to kind of find out what they're talking about. Nobody has the capacity to understand every type of method and every type of results that are shared in research. So don't get discouraged. The big idea is to understand the main point. Now, if this abstract doesn't give you a lot of information, the next part you want to do is go to the introduction. That'll usually tell you why are they interested in this behavior, what kind of background knowledge they have on them. So this is good background information. Here's the study for positioning nuts. They tell you about the materials. They tell you about the procedure. And here we want to look at the results. The results and the general discussion. These are the two other important parts next to the abstract. Now, unless you're really familiar with what all of this means, it's not going to help you. The data for the actions, whatever, that's fine too. But what you can do is look at this table. What is this table telling you? Ratio of knocks to strikes. That's what it's telling you. The average knock to strike. The total knock to strike. All of those things are kind of important. But what you can do is come down here as well. We examined whether bearded capuchin monkeys placed nuts into a pit or on an anvil in a particular orientation before striking them with a hammerstone. Boom. That's the first question they aim to look at. If so, if this placement was relatively efficient for cracking, was the position better for cracking these nuts? Here are the results. All 8 monkeys placed the nuts systematically in such a way that was helpful for cracking the nuts, in such a way that it wouldn't fall before striking it with the hammer. That's all important information, all jammed up here in the first 2 sentences. And here it talks about distinctive behavior, knocking the nuts on the anvil prior to placement. Knocking likely provides the monkey with information about the fit between the nut and the pits, perhaps from the sound and perhaps from the vibrations. So what does this tell you? Monkeys have the instinct or the distinctive behavior of knocking these nuts prior to placement. It's also telling you monkeys tap and touch the stones with their fingers before choosing one. They appear to use exploratory actions to choose these pits as well. So they are learning. This is all trying to tell you they're learning from experience. They're touching the stones with their fingers before choosing the rock for cracking. And they're using their knowledge also to find out more information about which pits are going to be good for using for their nuts as well. Moving after 1 or 2 positioning events, when they find out that this is not a good place to keep their nut. So they're learning. This is telling you that they're learning from these interactions. If you are copying and pasting sentences from this, you should also be citing exactly and quoting the author, which we will get more into throughout the semester as we read more research. This was one of the main points that I wanted you guys to get here, where it's talking about the fast-acting mechanoreceptors on primates, the Meissner's corpuscles, the fingertip density. So basically, what it's saying is, thus, non-human primates probably have equivalent or even enhanced perception of surface properties sensed by these receptors. So it's interesting. We think of humans as being so much more adapted to using our hands and using tools and using our fingers and sensing and feeling and perceiving our environment. When in all actuality, it seems that these primates actually have a better sense of their environment with their fingers and their hands and their sense of touch. And this is one of the reasons that describe the mechanism by which this is possible for these monkeys. That describes the reasons that are able to cause this behavior. They're describing the mechanisms making it possible for this behavior to happen. This will conclude our lecture. Please stay tuned for your exit ticket. Here's your exit ticket. Go ahead and pause the screen. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.